The illusion of progress, why representation without inclusion fails us all. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. 11%. That's the percentage of Fortune 500 CEOs who are women today. A historic high, a number we're supposed to celebrate. And in many ways, we should. But here's something that stopped me in my tracks during my recent conversation with Danielle Jackson, the visionary founder of the Semicolon Life platform. Out of those women, CEOs, only two are Black women. Two. Let that sink in for a moment. Danielle Jackson isn't just another voice in the diversity conversation. She's a revolutionary force who has created a sanctuary for thousands of Black professionals navigating mental health challenges while pursuing excellence in environments that weren't designed for them. Her platform, the Semicolon Life, represents something profound: the choice to continue one story despite every reason to end it. And her insights have fundamentally changed how I understand progress in our society. When I interviewed Danielle, she shared statistics that cut through the noise of corporate diversity reports and revealed a stark reality hiding behind our celebration of incremental gains. We've been conditioned to applaud small improvements without questioning whether those improvements are reaching everyone equally. We assume that a rising tide lifts all boats, but what if some boats are anchored to the bottom by chains we refuse to acknowledge? This is not just about numbers, it's about a fundamental misunderstanding of what true progress looks like. For years, we've operated under a simple assumption: more representation equals more equality. More women in leadership means all women benefit. More diversity initiatives mean barriers are falling for everyone. But what Danielle Jackson's work reveals is something far more nuanced and challenging: that progress can be simultaneously real and illusory, depending on where you stand. The truth is that progress for some does not automatically translate to progress for all. And when we fail to recognize this, we perpetuate systems that continue to leave people behind while congratulating ourselves on how far we've come. During our conversation, Danielle shared three critical insights that I believe can transform how we think about progress, resilience, and authentic leadership. First, progress and representation can be deeply misleading. While we see more women reaching executive roles overall, the advancement of Black professionals, especially Black women, continues to lag significantly behind. This isn't just a statistical anomaly, it's evidence of intersectional barriers that remain firmly in place despite broader diversity gains. Second, economic challenges hit certain communities with disproportionate force. In April 2025 alone, over 106,000 jobs held by professional Black women were lost, a staggering setback that occurred while other demographic groups actually saw employment gains. This stark disparity reveals how economic vulnerability follows patterns of historical exclusion. And third, personal stories and platforms matter enormously in creating change. Space like the Semicolon Life don't just offer hope, they actively challenge stigma around mental health and perseverance among Black professionals, creating communities where authentic journeys inspire others to keep moving forward despite setbacks. These insights challenge us to reconsider what we mean when we talk about progress. They ask us to look beyond surface level metrics and examine who benefits and who remains excluded. Let me share a story that Danielle highlighted during our conversation: the journey of the Sunda Brown Duckett, who became CEO of TI's, making her one of those two Black female CEOs on the Fortune 500 list. Duckett's path to leadership wasn't simply about talent and determination, though she certainly possesses both in abundance. She faced systemic barriers common to many Black professionals, limited access to sponsorship opportunities, and constant scrutiny regarding her leadership style. What set her apart wasn't just her ability to overcome these obstacles, but her commitment to dismantling them for others. She focused on building mentorship pipelines within her organizations while advocating publicly for financial literacy initiatives targeting underrepresented communities. Her visibility has inspired a new generation of diverse talent to pursue executive careers, and she's implemented company wide programs supporting employee well being. Duckett's story illustrates both what's possible with determination and how rare such achievements remain without systemic change. Her success is both inspirational and a stark reminder of how exceptional remains for a Black woman to reach such heights in corporate America. But individual success stories, while important, can't mask broader patterns of exclusion. This brings me to another powerful example Danielle shared, one that reveals how economic instability uniquely impacts Black women professionals. In April 2025, while the economy was growing for most demographics, over 106,000 jobs held by professional Black women disappeared. This wasn't random bad luck. It reflected specific vulnerabilities that emerge when companies roll back diversity commitments or face economic pressure. Black women professionals often find themselves first affected due to lack of institutional support networks. What happened next, though, demonstrates the power of community driven solutions. Advocacy groups mobilize rapid response career workshops and mental health resources tailored specifically toward displaced workers from marginalized backgrounds. Many participants reported renewed confidence after attending virtual upskilling boot camps. Some even transitioned into entrepreneurship using their severance packages as seed capital. This response highlights something crucial. When formal systems fail, community innovation often fills the gap. But should the burden of creating safety nets fall on the very communities being marginalized? Or should our institutions be designed to protect everyone equally? This brings me to perhaps the most powerful example Danielle shared, the Semicolon Life platform that she herself founded. For those unfamiliar with the symbolism, a semicolon represents a place where an author could have ended a sentence but chose to continue. It has become a powerful symbol for those who have faced mental health struggles, including suicidal ideation, but chose to continue their story. The semicolon life was born from this profound idea that continuing forward despite adversity is an act of courage and hope. The platform addresses a challenge that's particularly acute among high achieving members of marginalized communities: overcoming stigma around mental health in professional settings. Many ambitious professionals fear that showing vulnerability might hinder their career prospects, a fear that's often magnified for those already navigating hostile environments. The Semicolon Life created an online hub offering peer support circles and storytelling events featuring successful entrepreneurs sharing their own struggles with anxiety and depression, all centered around radical self care principles. Hundreds have credited these resources with helping them stay resilient during layoffs or moments when they considered leaving their fields altogether due to burnout or discrimination. The platform fosters a culture where asking for help is normalized, not stigmatized in pursuit oriented spaces. What makes this work so revolutionary is that it directly addresses intersectional needs too often overlooked elsewhere. It recognizes that mental health challenges don't exist in isolation from professional pressures, racial discrimination, or gender bias. They're interconnected in ways that require holistic approaches. These three examples, Duckett's leadership journey, the community response to mass job losses, and the Semicolon Life platform, reveal something profound about progress and resilience. They show us that true advancement requires both individual determination and collective action, both personal healing and systemic change. They also challenge a dangerous myth that resilience is simply about individual grit or pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. The reality is far more complex. Resilience flourishes in communities that support vulnerability, in workplaces that value diverse leadership styles, and in societies that distribute opportunity equitably. This brings me to a fundamental question that emerged from my conversation with Danielle Jackson. What if our metrics for progress are fundamentally flawed? What if celebrating 11% female representation among Fortune 500 CEOs while ignoring that only two are Black women actually reinforces the very inequities we claim to be addressing? What if our focus on individual success stories, while inspiring, distracts us from the systemic barriers that make such stories exceptional rather than commonplace? What if resilience isn't just about surviving adversity, but about transforming the conditions that create unnecessary adversity in the first place? These questions aren't comfortable. They challenge us to move beyond surface level diversity initiatives toward deeper inclusion and equity. They ask us to examine who benefits from current definitions of progress and who remains excluded. But discomfort is often where growth begins. And that's what Danielle Jackson's insights offer us, an opportunity to grow beyond simplistic narratives about representation and resilience toward a more nuanced understanding of what true progress requires. So I challenge you today not just to hear these statistics and stories, but to let them transform how you measure progress in your own organizations and communities. I challenge you to disaggregate your data, to look beyond broad categories like women or people of color, and examine who within these groups is advancing and who remains excluded. I challenge you to redefine resilience as a collective responsibility, not just an individual trait, to create environments where everyone can thrive without requiring superhuman strength from those facing the greatest barriers. I challenge you to value and amplify platforms like the Semicolon Life that address the specific needs of marginalized communities, to recognize that these spaces aren't just support networks, but incubators for innovative approaches to persistent challenges. And finally, I challenge you to ask yourself, how will you use your own story, not just your successes, but also your struggles, to create space where others feel empowered, not just to survive adversity, but to thrive because they chose never to give up? The semicolon represents that moment of choice to continue despite having every reason to stop. We stand at such a moment collectively. We could look at current statistics and conclude that enough progress has been made, period, end of sentence. Or we could recognize that we're at a semicolon moment, a place where the story could end, but shouldn't, a place where we choose to continue pushing for deeper change. The choice is ours. And based on the powerful insights Danielle Jackson shared, I believe we have both the responsibility and the opportunity to continue this story, to write a future where progress reaches everyone, where resilience is nurtured by community, and where authentic leadership reflects the full diversity of human experience. True progress isn't just about changing who sits at the table, it's about transforming the table itself. It's about creating spaces where everyone can bring their full, authentic selves without having to leave parts of their identity at the door. The world doesn't just need more representation, it needs true inclusion. It needs your voice, your courage, and your commitment to continue the story, not just for yourself, but for all those who will come after you. Thank you